will be discussing the effects of intermittent fasting on obesity and metabolism. Through careful research, I have both posed and answered my own focus question pertaining to this topic. My research question is, what effect does intermittent fasting have on obesity and metabolism, and how can we apply it to other health outcomes? When coming up with my research question, I thought not only about the impact on intermittent fasting on obesity and subsequently metabolism, but I wanted to expand it a step further and apply my findings to other health outcomes, for example, heart disease and diabetes. I think that it's important to not only conduct research topics like this, but to also apply it to other issues that we are aware of to find possible links and solutions. What is intermittent fasting? According to a human observational study analyzing the effects on time-restricted eating on weight loss and other metabolic parameters in overweight people completed through the University of Sharjah, intermittent fasting refers to eating windows separated by defined periods of fasting. Time-restricted eating, also known as TRE, is just one form of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting diets can take on many different forms, some of which include longer durations of fasting than others. Some intermittent fasting diets only offer an 8 to 10 hour window of fasting, while others can offer up to a 16 to 18 hour fasting window. The most popular intermittent fasting method is the 16 to 8 ratio, where there is a 16-hour fasting period followed by an 8-hour eating window. It is no wonder that intermittent fasting has become an increasingly popular health trend among Americans in recent years. Among the majority of other dieting options, intermittent fasting is one of the most convenient, as there are no strict food requirements and by far the cheapest, since less food is being consumed per day. According to this chart, 80% of adults who follow intermittent fasting find it to be an inexpensive option, as opposed to an average of 32.4% among other popular dieting options. What factors promote obesity, and how does this impact metabolism? One of the leading factors that promotes obesity is high amounts of fat, especially unhealthy fats, such as saturated and trans fatty acids. These types of fats can be found in most fried foods, as well as high sugar foods such as donuts and many bakery goods. Eating too many saturated and or trans fats can raise LDL cholesterol levels. LDL stands for low density lipoproteins, which contain a high fat content with a very low protein content. These lipoproteins are responsible for carrying lipids, specifically cholesterol, from the liver to cells in the body. This is harmful because a buildup of cholesterol in your arteries is the main contributor to plaque formation, also known as atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a disorder of lipid metabolism affecting about 80 million Americans. It is the main cause of cardiovascular disease, which is directly linked to obesity. In other words, the presence of obesity is very likely to lead to heart disease, and many people with heart disease happen to be overweight or obese. What factors promote obesity, and how does this impact metabolism? Increased levels of saturated and trans fatty acids in the diet can impact metabolism by increasing chronic inflammation in the body, leading to an overall decrease in tissue metabolism. According to an animal study evaluating the impacts of intermittent fasting on health and disease processes in mice, the effects of intermittent fasting on circadian regulation of energy metabolism may occur as a result of changes in the core cell clock in peripheral tissue. Using this information, we can conclude that energy metabolism is directly linked to activity in peripheral tissues inside the body. Because energy metabolism is regulated in much the same way that most major energy-regulating hormones are, including insulin and leptin, it is no wonder why the consumption of excess fat in the diet leads to inflammation. Inflammation has a direct effect on the way that tissues regulate insulin, which allows glucose to enter the cells, and leptin, which signals satiety. This ultimately disrupts and slows the overall energy metabolism of our bodies. Applying the correlation between intermittent fasting, obesity, and metabolism. As we can see, there is a strong correlation between intermittent fasting and decreases in obesity, as well as intermittent fasting and increases in metabolism. A human clinical study conducted by the University of California, San Francisco measured the effect of intermittent fasting during Ramadan on specific hormone levels, including leptin and cortisol, among overweight and obese people. Ramadan refers to the ninth month of the Islamic calendar, during which Muslims worldwide spend the month fasting and reflecting with their communities. During this month of fasting, Muslims only eat or drink before sunrise and after sunset, following the rules of intermittent fasting very strictly. According to the study, by the end of Ramadan, body weight, BMI, neck, waist, and hip circumferences, body fat percentages, and fat masses decreased significantly from pre-fasting baselines. Because Ramadan naturally follows the rules of intermittent fasting for the entire month, it is also consistent with decreases in many obesity-related factors that contribute to chronic inflammation in the body and decreased energy metabolism. It is helpful to see these concepts and findings applied in the real world with real patients rather than strictly in the lab with mice. We can use these findings to infer that because intermittent fasting decreases obesity-related factors, it can also reduce the risk for several other obesity-related health complications, such as cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and prediabetes. Although no two human bodies function exactly the same, there are several suggestions that apply across the board to the general population in order to reduce the risk of obesity and improve overall energy metabolism. I believe that practicing some form of intermittent fasting, whether it's a strict 16-hour fasting period per day or something as simple as not consuming food past a certain hour, can benefit everyone. In the United States, over 2/3 of the population is either overweight or obese. This is an extremely striking number, one that is likely to continue to grow if Americans do not educate themselves on healthy habits. Intermittent fasting is the perfect step Americans can take to either get or keep their health under control. As mentioned earlier, intermittent fasting is one of the most inexpensive and convenient dieting options available for Americans to follow, as there are no modifications to the actual food that you are eating. In addition to being convenient and inexpensive, intermittent fasting is also shown to significantly reduce obesity-related factors such as BMI, body weight, body fat percentages, and circumference measures, as well as increased overall energy metabolism. By incorporating these practices into everyday life, Americans can greatly improve their overall metabolism and reduce the risk for obesity and the other health complications that come along with it.